All right, welcome back, Florida Football Insiders Podcast. We are now welcomed by a man who covers the SEC in the South basically every day of the year on his radio show, Monday through Friday, PressBoxRadio.com, host of the Press Box based out of Atlanta. My buddy, my co-host, gives me the opportunity to get on there a couple days a week. Mr. Mike Grace, welcome back, sir.
14-year-old UAB logos there because I know you love
Yes, we
Steelers,
like
man. Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
We like that. Did you make it through the cold? We had some cold weather in the South this week. How you like the cold weather? Are you a cold
Well,
weather guy?
no, not really. No, no, thank you. No, there's a reason I live in the South. But it is November, and so it's a little bit cold, but it's supposed to warm back up again the next couple of days. So we can stand it in little doses here and there. Yeah.
So you cover the SEC all year round, whether it's whatever football, all that stuff, all the sports.
You
Give
name
me a
it.
little thought. Week 2 of the college football playoff. Not a whole lot of change at the top of the rankings. You still got Texas A&M, Alabama 3 and 4, but you do have Texas at 10. You got Miami who moved from 18 to 11, and then the USF Bulls slid into the 12 spot. Give me a thought.
That's a big spot for USF. That team, we talked to Tom Luganbill on today's show, and Tom loves South Florida. He really loves the Bulls and says, look out, if they could get in the playoff, they could win a game or two. So I absolutely love them. I'm still confused. I mean, the bulk of it I'm okay with. I'm still just confused at the top though, Jason. I've looked at resumes and I'm trying to figure out why Ohio State has a better resume than Indiana
Right.
and or Texas A&M. It seems that week 3 win at Notre Dame seems to be, I mean, for the Aggies of Texas A&M, I would think that's a biggie. But the Buckeyes week 1 win over a Texas team that was number 1 then, number 10 now, 14-7 a win at home.
Right.
How is that as impressive as going on the road to winning at Notre Dame, which is what A&M did? And look, the Hoosiers, they've got back-to-back road wins at number 21 Iowa, number 8 Oregon, and
Penn State, decent Penn State
exactly.
team.
I don't understand why Ohio State's number 1.
Yeah.
That's my biggest question.
Yep, and I think A&M's going to have more opportunity. A&M plays Texas here in a couple weeks, so they're going to have another opportunity. Then they're going to have an opportunity to play potentially in the title game against Georgia, Alabama, whichever combination of those teams make it. So those could change. I think if A&M runs the table and Ohio State runs the table, I think A&M might be the pick at the end of the day.
I think so. I keep waiting to hear this committee talk about the new metrics they're using, and I haven't seen that yet. What I see so far from them is them using the old eye test, which tells them Ohio State's the defending national champion, and so they're going to be number 1 until we see something different. I don't see where the metrics have come into play at all. But again, I'm not looking at the same numbers they are, so we'll see.
Give me a thought on Miami. Last week they were 18, moved all the way up to 11 because of the more so probably because of the carnage elsewhere in the conference, everybody else losing. And obviously the thing Miami's going to lean on, we beat Notre Dame. If
Exactly.
you got Notre Dame in and we both got 2 losses, they're going to say we should be in. We beat Notre Dame if they win the rest of their games.
And it certainly helps the ACC in their quest for multiple bids. Okay, so if they get a champion in, the champions, you would assume, I know there's a possibility. There's folks have talked about a possibility that the ACC champion
Doesn't make it.
It's jumped by a Sun Belt champion or an American Conference champion. That is a possibility, but it's far fetched somewhat.
Right.
So I would think that the champion of the ACC is going to get there, and as long as Miami can run the table with what they've got, finish with just 2 losses, I think they've got a good case to be in as well.
Yeah, man, and that's going to be again. There's carnage in the ACC. Go ahead.
Although they've got almost 0 chance of making the ACC game, they could still end up in the CFP.
Right. No, that's the crazy part is that's how it is. All right, I want to take you down to the Gainesville. We know that program is kind of cratering. They got crushed last week in Lexington. They played well the first new coach game bump you typically get when you have an interim coach that played well against Georgia. They got boat raced in Lexington last week.
Yeah.
What do you see in that? What do you see at that program, and what's the kind of guy they need to stabilize that program in Gainesville?
Yeah, I don't know what to think because I look at every coaching search you look at right now. Lane Kiffin's the odds-on favorite. Whether it's Florida, look, I talked to a buddy in LSU today who's got some inside source. He still believes the boosters down there believe they can get Lane to Baton Rouge. Now you got to talk about him going to New York to reunite with Jackson Dart.
with
in
the
the National
Giants.
Football League for the New York Giants. So I don't know. I mean, it really is a question. Lane Kiffin is still the odds-on favorite. Eli Drinkwitz, I don't see. I'll say this. Eli, if he had a chance to get out of Como, he probably should because he's
Yep.
taken that program about as far as
Yep.
he can, I think.
Yep.
And then the other names I'm seeing on the list are James Franklin, Jed Fish, Jeff Brom, who, by the way, Louisville's working on him an
Right.
extension to try to keep him. Brent Key, he's already said he's not leaving Georgia Tech. John Sumrall, who most believe is the odds-on favorite to get the Auburn job. And then Clark Lee leaving Vanderbilt for Florida. Maybe, I guess. I don't have a clue as to who's going to be the next head coach for the Gators, man. I really don't.
And the interesting dynamic is in your world where you're from, the state of Mississippi, where does Florida go this week? Ole
Oh,
Miss.
yes,
So do
exactly.
you not think behind the scenes somebody's talking to somebody
No doubt, no
through
doubt.
Jimmy Sexton at the steakhouse or whatever the place is to go have a nice meal in Oxford this
And
weekend?
I just think, we'll see. If Lane leaves Oxford, I think it's Gainesville is where he's going. We've talked about this. His wife, Layla, who they seem to have reconciled,
Yep.
pictures on social media of them together at Halloween and some other things. And her family is from Gainesville. She is a Florida grad. So I see a lot of reasons why that would work. Yeah, Lane in Baton Rouge just doesn't seem to fit to me. I
Right.
do think that if he goes National Football League, which could be a possibility somewhere, but I think he's still relatively young. He's just barely 50, is he
Yep.
not? And so he's got a son in high school there in Oxford. He's
Yep.
got a daughter that's attending the University of Mississippi. I can see him just staying put for a couple of years, and then once they're moving on and doing their thing,
Yep.
then he could maybe try that National Football League. Trust me, there'll be an opening somewhere along the line, and somebody will be willing to hire Lane Kiffin for sure.
And in world of the SEC, you got a lot of jobs. You got Arkansas, Auburn, Florida. You might have another one or two, maybe South Carolina. And
Yep.
then another place that's not SEC, but it's in the deep South here, Florida State. Give me a thought about what's going on there in Tallahassee. We all thought after they beat Alabama week one, here we go again. We're back on the rise. And boy, it has just been struggle city since.
Well, word tells me Florida State just doesn't have the money to get rid of Mike Norvell. It would be close to a $60 million buyout, if I'm
A
not
lot of
mistaken.
dollars.
Yeah, and for a school that's already sued the ACC because they want more money, I just don't know where that's going to come from for Florida
Right.
State to do that. So I would think Mike Norvell stays put, and I'll be honest, I would think South Carolina right now, if they look at the landscape with all the other openings, Shane Beamer's looking pretty good to me right now. I know it's been a down year for them,
Yep.
but the
Yep.
guy loves Carolina. He
Yep.
absolutely adores it. And yeah, I would be nervous about trying to jump into what is now an already very crowded coaching vacancy pool, man. Yeah.
And it's again, it'll be interesting to see what the first domino that falls. 'Cause I think everybody's willing to wait for Lane, but I
Yep.
think Lane's probably going to, and here in the next couple of weeks, is going to have to give somebody a wink, wink of some type.
Yeah.
Either I'm coming or I'm not, so they can
Yeah.
move on to the next guy
And can he somehow tell Florida yes, but I've got to wait until I get Ole Miss through the
and
CFP.
keep it quiet and
And,
keep it quiet.
and I don't know how that's going to happen, man. And you're right though. I think that has to be the first domino that falls. Unless LSU believes they're not going to get Lane or Florida believes they're not going to
Right.
get Lane and they go somewhere else.
Right.
Until then, I think both of those places are holding out with hopes of getting Lane Kiffin, the name everybody seems to want. Yeah.
For a guy that knows the state of Mississippi, what is Lane Kiffin? I mean, just we obviously we know his charisma and all the stuff he does, but what do you respect about Lane that he's kind of grown
Yeah.
professionally and matured as an adult, as a human being, first and foremost? What are the things that you really like for Lane, and what things would make you nervous if you brought
Well,
Lane in?
I was really beginning to like Lane Kiffin. And then he goes and trolls my Mississippi State Bulldogs again this week. If you didn't hear when asked at halftime on the Ole Miss radio network, what he thought of the first half, his early response was, "Well, it's great to see Georgia boat racing Mississippi State." Oh, you mean our game? Oh yeah, we're doing okay. So Lane is going to be Lane in that regard. But I do think he's learned not to go for it 12 times on fourth down. For
Yeah,
the most part, he did that in one game. What was it, Jason? Because we talked about that earlier this year.
yeah,
Do it, Lane. Come on, be the new Lane, not the old Lane. I do think he's matured. I know this: the guy can coach, and what he's really done at Ole Miss that made the difference is he's made that place a cool place to recruit to. The
right.
SIP, the whole SIP thing. I mean, he's made it cool to go to Oxford, which has not always been the case, especially around the Southeast. but he's got guys coming there now to play and to make it in the National Football League. You look at guys who have come through his program who are playing on Sundays now and doing so with big paychecks. So he's made it cool to go to Ole Miss, and right now he certainly has the advantage. So as a Mississippi State fan, I'd love to see Lane take one of those jobs and get him out of Oxford, man. Please. Yeah, please.
No doubt. All right, last one. I'll get you out of here. Talk about Miami. Just a minute on Miami. Mario Cristobal. They just seem, for whatever reason, they've got all the talent in the world. I think if you put them talent for talent, they're right there, top five in the country against anybody. But they can't. Carson Beck, a guy I know you've covered a bunch in his Georgia days. Can they not slip on the banana peel? Can they win 3 more games? And especially the Pitt game at the end here is going to be critical.
Has Carson Beck shown us he can win a game for them? Yeah. I mean, has he? Because they've got everything else. They really do. They're great up front on both sides of the ball. They're great on the back end defensively. I don't know what the problem is other than the quarterback position.
Mario coaching his in-game management's a little sketchy.
Right. You're right about that. You're right. The head coach and the quarterback, which you would think are the two most important things for a football team, might be the biggest question marks for Miami. So we'll see. But again, the committee did them a favor by moving them up as far as they did this week. If they can run the table and hang in there with 2 losses, they've got a legitimate shot, at least arguing their case to make the 12-team field.
And who you like in Georgia? Who you like, Arch? You like Georgia, Texas. Again, we all thought this was going to be a showdown game, but Texas is just skated by in so many of these games. Your Mississippi State game, the Kentucky game, but they beat Vanderbilt pretty convincingly. I know the score at the end got close, but they beat Vandy pretty good 2 weeks ago.
They're beginning to really look like the Texas we thought they would be at the beginning of the year. Arch seems to not be trying so hard to take the check down, to do little things. He's progressing and doing better. But until Gunnar Stockton continues to impress me, folks, dog him about his inability to throw the ball deep. But at the same time, when he needs to throw 130 yards down the field and drop it in a bucket, I've seen him do it. So I'm beginning to think, they ran the ball against Mississippi State so well last week. I don't know whether that's fool's gold or not, because the state defense is still pretty weak, especially against the run. So I don't know what that means, the 305 rushing yards they put up in Starkville. They're not going to do that, certainly, against this Texas team. So I don't know. I just like the home field advantage for Georgia. I still think that the Bulldogs probably have the edge this weekend.
Mike Grace, check out PressBoxRadio.com. It's a live show every day, Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern time. You can listen live and on demand on the website. The show's on in about 20 different affiliates around the Southeast. So check out PressBoxRadio.com to see if there's an affiliate near you.
That's it.
Again, appreciate you having me on a couple days a week, and I appreciate the great insight on the SEC and football in the South. We all love it. It's hard to believe it's almost over, Mike Grace.
That's the truth, man. It's November. Can you believe it? And yeah, just 3 weeks left in the regular season. That is really hard to believe it. It's been a fantastic season. Can't wait to see how the next couple of months play out, man.
More drama to come. So thanks for the time, Mike Grace. Appreciate it.
You bet.
And we'll see you next time on the Florida Football Insiders Podcast.